It's a rainy day in Bangkok, and we're here to see the master at work. We're here to get some crab with glass noodles. This stall has been here for 38 years, and they've been making this stellar, well-awarded dish. So here's the setup. 4 burners going on at once. These modern iterations of the clay pot, stainless steel pots, loaded with aromatics. And chef has a very zen-like approach to the cooking. This is one of my favorite places to stand because you get to watch a master at work. I mean, he's cooking with 1 fork. This is maybe the coolest thing I've ever seen. And he's slowly watching the doneness of the glass noodles. It's a really simple dish, which means that every single ingredient needs to be perfect. A lot of people have this idea of what street eats is supposed to be. It's frenetic, it's in the middle of the street, it's crazy, it's like all sorts of things going on, it's chaotic. But this is one of the most serene, clean, and beautiful places to eat street food in Bangkok. Look at how polished these pots are. Like, there's no drippy, droppy anything anywhere. Look at these like live crabs. They're sorted. By the way, they have a limited number of every day. That's when you know the ingredients are good. And they're rare. These are what I know to be flesh crabs. They're known for their big, juicy, sweet claws. And because they're female, these crabs are also juicy, filled with roe. Come over here. In each of these clay pots is layered aromatics. On the bottom is the lard, keep things from sticking, white pepper and Sichuan peppercorn. There's little cloves of Thai garlic, trimmed scallion, and a little bit of cilantro, and importantly, cilantro root. And when an order comes in, a butcher will kill the crab, get rid of all the parts that he doesn't want, cleaves it in half one more time, takes off the claw. He's cracking it so that it cooks quickly, but also that it eats quickly. Layering it precisely over the aromatics. 1 entire crab per clay pot. That's the roe, orange. The green, that's a tamale, or crab fat. But this is all going to cook quite consistently. This stack here next to chef, that's how he knows what to make. So the beginning of the cooking process is all about dry heat. As the heat comes up from the bottom, the lard starts to render, and the aromatics start to activate. If it were to be wet, you wouldn't get the same aromas, and you wouldn't get the same flavors. That's important. Baking in the Chinese or Asian sense of the word means putting a lid on top of a pot so that it cooks by convection inside. Once that lid goes over the top of the clay pot, the baking process begins. Come look at this. That's the basic seasoning for the glass noodle. First, a heaping scoop of oyster sauce, Thai-style oyster sauce, a little bit lighter in color. A dash of Maggi, a squirt of oil, a little bit of white pepper, and a little bit of water. That's when he adds glass noodles that are soaked in a little bit of water that he tears to the specific length that he needs them to be. You have to measure the amount of moisture that's going in because too much, then you dilute the flavor. Too little, and your food burns. Sizzle, lid. And he's slowly watching the doneness of the glass noodles. He's flipping it to put the less cooked noodles on the bottom, not only to make sure that the noodles themselves are fully cooked, but to use it as a cover for the different parts of the seafood to encourage them to cook at a faster rate. The noodles are the lid, right? They're also literally the conducting heat up through hot liquid, through this noodle, on top of the crab, so that the crab itself cooks. Also see that liquid on the bottom is getting thicker and thicker and thicker. That's good for a couple of reasons. For one, when it's thicker, it means that water is evaporating. The stuff that is left behind is therefore more condensed in flavor and more flavorful. Second, as it's getting thicker and thicker, it's going to start coating the noodles and coating that seafood. What's causing it to coat is not an addition of cornstarch or any like slurry, but rather the things that are coming off the crab and the seafood itself. Look at those scallions. It's only the center of the scallion, of young scallions at that. Scallions are a very Thai-Chinese way of seasoning seafood. Chef's got an internal clock. He knows which pot went on first. He knows which pot to take off first. He knows when to add the noodles. He has a sixth sense for when to add the scallions. The scallions will begin to wilt. They'll become bright green. And at that point, the noodles should be fully translucent and it should be done. So pretty. When people think about street food in Bangkok, people think about chaos. They think about like these streets bustling, all that energy, all these things happening at once. But this place is not like that at all. Here at Somsak, the cleanliness and the meticulousness of that chef seems to permeate as energy throughout the street. It's just you and the food. Oh, gorgeous. Crab has really given a lot of itself to this broth. They give you 2 forks because all the noodles are here, translucent and brown, all together. And to divide them up, you're gonna have to split them up like this. There you go. That lard that's been rendering on the bottom with that sauce, you wanna make sure that your noodle really sops that up. The first note that you get is a little bit of that salinity, that saltiness. And then savoriness just blooms. It starts slow, but you can taste that sweet, well-rounded, full palate, full mouth flavor. And that's just the noodle. Now the crab itself, this is the best part. That's that roe, and that's that tamale, or crab fat. That's the best part of the crab. It's rich, it's buttery. In Japan, we call this crab miso, kani miso. Beautiful. Tender. It's so sweet. It's sort of like uni. You know, that deep savoriness. Also that fattiness. The other parts that a lot of people like to go for are the claws. Nice, sweet, perfectly cooked flesh. This dish is served with nam jim seafood, green chilies, bit of garlic. A lot of places have it. Yum. It's like a kiss from the ocean. Because of this dish's Thai Chinese roots, we need to remember that the chili pepper didn't arrive in Thailand until relatively recently. For the longest time, it was just peppercorns. Peppercorns are native to Southeast Asia. Sichuan peppercorns are actually really interesting here. It's tingling in your mouth. That's what that Sichuan peppercorn does. But that white pepper, fermented white pepper, those are the earth tones. The sweetness that's coming from the allium, the onions and the garlic. And then you slowly realize that there's spice. It hits every single flavor note. Sweet, sour, salty, bitter, umami. The glass noodles, nice and slippery. And the pure sweetness of that crab. Usually, the central body part, I just bite in the whole thing, and with the powers of oral dexterity, remove the shell from your mouth. Here's to everybody who's commenting, Lucas doesn't know how to eat crab. I've lost every crab eating competition I've ever been a part of. It's not how many crabs you can eat, it's how clean you can get the crabs. You owe this beautiful, delicious, fresh crab to eat every single piece. Because this place is freaking worth it. So good. I didn't expect to like this dish this much when we got here. You look at the photos online, oh, cool, crab, glass noodles. But with simple dishes, it always comes down to culinary technique. Chef here's a legend for a good reason. The dish itself is so simple, but when the ingredients are this good, and when the chef is this thoughtful about the cooking, you can't go wrong. By the way, you can get takeout here in classic Thai fashion in heat-resistant plastic bags. You can get the entire dish packaged to go, delivered to you in a bulk bed.